Hello again. I'm pleased to say you actually made it onto side 2. Now we return to local news with Sonia.
A crusading campaigner has pledged to do all in his power to keep open a centre that serves as a refuge for hundreds of vulnerable people every week. The Hanlon Centre in Dyson's Road, Upper Edmonton, was opened in 1986 as a refuge for people who suffer from mental health problems. It has supported refugees, young people and asylum seekers during the past 3 decades. However, it has now emerged that the centre will close with immediate effect due to a lack of funding. Bharat Patel, a volunteer handyman for the centre, says he refuses to let that happen. The Hanlon Centre is like a home to me, he told the Advertiser. I first came here 5 years ago when I was suffering from depression. I would just come and sit in the corner and not talk to anyone. I was just completely in my own world. But then, slowly, bit by bit, I started coming out of my shell. Now, Mr. Patel is calling on the centre's trustees to undertake a massive fundraising drive to keep it open. There are 3 paid members of staff and they will lose their jobs, said the campaigner. Every day, about 50 people come through the door. Each week, about 400 people use this centre. What are all these people going to do if the centre closes? Chairman of the Committee of Trustees, Father Nigel Asbridge, who is the parish priest of St John the Evangelist Church, which adjoins the centre, is adamant that with an outstanding debt of £20,000 and annual running costs of £100,000, there is simply no way that the centre can stay open. We are going to use our reserves to pay off some of the debts, and we are going to have to fully stop all outgoings, said Mr. Asbridge. No one wants to give funding to a centre that is in debt, and it is getting harder and harder to raise money through organisations like the National Lottery. On top of that, the cuts to mental health services have hit us hard. But with 150 names so far on his petition, Mr. Bharat is determined to stop the centre vanishing from the lives of people who need it the most. He added, as one of the centre's users told me, this place will close over my dead body.
A legal challenge against the controversial landlord scheme has been mounted. A debate on the landlord licensing scheme was due to take place at a full council meeting last Wednesday, but was deferred to a later date after an application was made for a judicial review. The council scheme would require landlords to get a 5-year licence, costing £500, for each property they own, and is aimed at cutting antisocial behaviour. The council also believes the scheme will tackle rogue landlords, improve housing standards, and reduce overcrowding. It was passed at a fractious overview and scrutiny meeting in May, during which a group of landlords called Stop Enfield lambasted the decision, calling the scheme a disgrace. Now, Konstantinos Regas, who spoke at the meeting 2 months ago, has launched a bid for a judicial review. Conservative opposition leader, Councillor Terry Neville, was disappointed no debate took place. He said, "It is always a matter of concern that a decision made by the council is being considered for judicial review, but it is the right of individuals affected by decisions such as this to challenge them in the courts. Although I understand the legal reasons given by the council's lawyers for postponing this debate, I do not agree that they are right. The paper featured our belief that the decision to create a landlord licensing scheme was unnecessary due to existing and new measures being put into place by the Conservative-led government to tackle the small minority of rogue landlords. The standard of private rented homes is a very big issue, as the number of rented properties has increased in recent years in our borough, and it is our belief that the new measures being introduced by the government, together with the diligent application of the existing law by the council against the minority of bad landlords, would be more effective in tackling the problem. I am keen, therefore, to debate this matter in the near future. The opposition agreed to adjourn the debate until a decision is made on his challenge for a judicial review. An Enfield Borough Council spokesman said, "Enfield Council approved the additional selective licensing scheme on April the 9th, 2014. This decision was affirmed on April the 30th by the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. The scheme has been introduced to reduce antisocial behaviour. The opposition priority business paper, titled Tackling Abuse in the Private Rented Sector, was submitted by the opposition for July's full council meeting before the judicial review claim was issued. Following Enfield Council's receipt of the judicial review claim, the opposition agreed at full council on July 16th to adjourn their paper until the judicial review is disposed of. Enfield Council is vigorously defending the judicial review. It would be prejudicial to disclose the details of the council's defence at this stage."
Southgate Summer Festival filled the streets with stalls, music and food last Saturday. The day, organised by the Southgate Chamber of Trade, saw cafes and restaurants hand out free food samples, while car and scooter collectors displayed their vehicles. John Miles, also known as Mr. Twister, displayed one of his scooters with the Lee Valley branch of the Vespa Club of Great Britain. Mr. Miles of Lee Valley said he'd always grown up around the vehicles and loved to go on rides with the club. He said, "My dad had one, my uncle had one, and all the boys I was at school with had one when they left school. I wasn't a mod when I was younger, I was a skinhead. I've got 2 other scooters, one done up in a mod style and one done up in a skinhead style." Steve Douglas, who had 3 Vespa scooters on display, said he had repainted and decorated them himself. He added that he bought his first scooter when he was about 17 years old. Elsewhere, beauty students from Barnet Southgate College gave free manicures, while its catering students provided food for passers-by. Principal David Byrne said he was keen for the college to show off the different courses on offer. He said, "We brought a stall here in order to really engage with the public." A climbing wall was also set up, and 10-year-old gymnast Miranda Georgiou proved to be a talented climber.
A community group has been named Enfield's Business of the Year. Love Your Doorstep beat beauty business Tessa Stevens, they're both of London Road, Enfield, to the Business of the Year crown for Enfield at the Federation of Businesses Awards ceremony. Founder of the group, Emma Rigby, went head-to-head with close friend Miss Stevens in a friendly bit of competition. The awards took place in central London on July 19th. Mrs. Rigby said, "It is wonderful that all the hard work has paid off. We are in our 3rd year, and I have been working 80 hours upwards most weeks to get the business running successfully. Times have changed in the workforce, and therefore the drive in female entrepreneurship does not surprise me. Businesses need to be flexible, and they can best utilise the skills that women offer."
Children at a primary school will be inspired by their favourite Disney characters during an exercise day. The 10-minute shake-up campaign, set up by the NHS, aims to help get more children doing short bursts of exercise to help them reach the recommended 60 minutes or more of physical activity each day. Children from Wilbury Primary School in Wilbury Way, Edmonton, are taking on the challenge by demonstrating the actions and moves of popular Disney film characters from Cars hero Lightning McQueen to The Incredibles. Councillor Rohini Simbojal, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Children, said, "All schools have received information packs explaining how the games work. Children can also look up the games on the website. The aim is to get children in Enfield and across the country moving for an extra 100 million minutes this summer. Moderate to vigorous exercise, performed several times a day, is sufficient to improve fitness and health overall. This is a great way to engage children in activities which are fun and healthy." Wilbury Primary School head teacher, Kate Turnpenny, added, "We are very keen to promote strong health messages that will give our children a good start in life. By making learning fun, children can enjoy these exercises and develop a habit for regular activity throughout their lives. We encourage children and their families to continue doing these activities during the school holidays. Parents who sign up to the campaign will also receive a free pack containing inspiration, ideas and tools to help them on their way."
The management of council homes is set to come back under the wings of the local authority, 6 years after it was taken over by an arm's-length management organisation. Enfield Homes, which was set up by Enfield Council in April 2008 to manage its homes and to improve housing services, will be brought back in-house in April next year under proposals to go before the Council's Cabinet tonight. The organisation, which is responsible for the management of more than 11,000 rented council homes and around 4,500 leasehold properties, was set up to deliver the previous Labour government's Decent Homes programme. That was aimed at bringing homes up to a minimum standard of being warm and weatherproof and having reasonably modern facilities. But following a review in 2012, and with funds for the programme ending this financial year, a Cabinet report by Ray James, Director of Health, Housing and Adult Social Care, recommends reintegrating the body back into the council. The move will save the authority more than £500,000 a year, according to the report. Ahead of tonight's meeting, Ahmet Oykuner, Cabinet Member for Housing, told the Advertiser, "After a review in 2012, we actually extended the contract with Enfield Homes until March 2015. Cabinet will have a new report in front of it, and I will ask the Cabinet if they will approve it. With the end of the Decent Homes programme, its lifeline is ending, and it will cost the council an additional £500,000 more if things remain as they are, so there are savings to be made." Following a consultation in 2012, tenants voted in favour of Enfield Homes remaining under arm's-length control. However, leaseholders voted for the organisation to be brought back in-house, and the council decided then to set the wheels of reintegration in motion. Edward Smith, Conservative spokesman for housing, said, "Tenants previously voted in favour of its remaining an ALMO, which the council ignored. On the other hand, there will be savings, and the council is trying to restructure the housing department so that there is more tenant involvement, and we are all trying to make the new governance structure as responsive as possible."
Commuters will be able to enjoy food prepared by a chef who cooks for the stars. Adele Young of Palmer's Green opened The Yard at Alexandra Palace Station last Thursday. But travellers can look forward to more than the infamous British Rail sandwich. Ms Young said, "I cook for quite a few celebs, but I can't say their names because I'm under contract. I'll still be doing that sort of work, but the idea of a cafe appealed to me because I want to be more in the community. Miss Young said that she had first spotted a notice at Palmer's Green station asking people to apply to run the station cafe. She secured a tenancy for Alexandra Palace after talking to train company First Capital Connect and set to work with decorating the place. While her daughter Bonnie and her boyfriend Craig will be running the new cafe day to day, Ms Young will do a lot of the cooking. Bonnie, also a professional chef, has moved from award-winning restaurant Honey & Company. She said the Yard offered a unique chance to start running a place from scratch. Keith Gipps, Customer Services Director for First Capital Connect, helped cut the ribbon on the new venture. He said that the station had been done up generally with new paint, a new counter that is designed to make it easier for people in wheelchairs, and new bike racks. He added, "Alexandra Palace is a really important station for us, and the place really deserves a good food outlet. If all goes to plan, the group will open a similar cafe at Palmer's Green station."
Oh, something to look forward to. A discarded cigarette is believed to have started a blaze in a block of flats. The used cigarette is thought to have set fire to a mattress and plastic toys on the second-floor landing of the flats in South Street in Ponders End on Friday night. The blaze affected the second-floor stairwell. Crews gave residents living in the block fire survival guidance and, rather than evacuate the building, firefighters told people to stay put inside their flats to keep safe while they tackled the blaze. A London Fire Brigade spokesman said, "Living in a flat is not more dangerous than living in a house, but it's important to know that your fire plan should be different. Flats and maisonettes are built to give you some protection from fire, a minimum of 30 minutes and up to 60. Walls, floors and doors will hold back flames and smoke for a time. If there is a fire elsewhere in the building, but not inside your home, you're usually safer staying in your flat unless heat and smoke is affecting you."
More than a dozen mini-markets have been caught selling food past its use-by date. The food hygiene inspections by Enfield Borough Council found 16 out of 27 shops its staff visited had food that was out of date, resulting in 130 items being seized. The authority, which has not identified those shops responsible, is now considering prosecution as selling food past its use-by date is illegal. During the clampdown, businesses were also found with no hot water for staff toilets, food not stored at the correct chilled temperature, a lack of wash basins for staff to use when handling open food, and evidence of date marking on some foods being tampered with. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety, Councillor Chris Bond, said, "It is completely unacceptable that food businesses in this borough do not understand that they cannot sell out-of-date food to our residents. We are addressing this alarming gap in knowledge. We will not tolerate this cavalier approach to food safety, and we will continue to monitor and work with businesses to ensure they comply with the standards and practices we expect of them. Those who cannot or will not acknowledge the importance of complying need to know they run the very risk of closure or prosecution."
Pupils from the smallest school in the borough have counted up the efforts of their spare change fundraising before the end of term. The 97 youngsters at St John's Primary School in Theobald's Park Road, Enfield, have been collecting 2p pieces for the past couple of months. On Monday, they counted the money and used it to spell out the school's name on the playground. The event, which was arranged by the Friends of St John's Parents Association, saw £265.26 collected, and the money will go towards buying balance bikes for the playground. Head teacher Susan Notley said, "Sport is really important for our school. We are trying to get children cycling at a much earlier age. We've had a lot of success this year. We won the Borough Netball Tournament, came second in the Borough Cricket, and won a swimming gala we held with 2 other schools. Cycling and swimming are our 2 big initiatives this year." Christine Rosario, a member of the Parents Association, helped to arrange the event. She said, "I had seen a thing on television where another school had done something similar. It's such a small school, so we have to do so much fundraising. We want to do the best for the children and buy equipment." Mrs. Rosario, whose daughter Isabel is in Year 1, added, "They were so excited to count up the money and see how much they had got. We are planning to make it an annual thing." Mrs. Notley, who has been head teacher of the school for 7 years, said a lot of the sporting drive came from the St. John's leadership team. She said, "Children do 2 hours of PE a week. We have 100% participation, and all the leadership team run a club, like tag rugby and rounders. We have about 8. We enter all the competitive sporting competitions. It has improved their level of fitness."
Job seekers flocked to the first in a series of career clinics organised by a not-for-profit training group last week. About 20 job hunters listened to the store manager and personnel manager of the Ponders End branch of Tesco talk about working for the international company in a conference room at Enfield Business Centre in Hertford Road, Enfield Highway. The session, hosted by Enterprise Enfield, allowed job seekers to quiz the representatives about a number of issues. Employment figures have been recorded as rising nationally, but the mood of those present reflected the frustrations faced by the long-term unemployed. When one asked why the majority of jobs advertised were for part-time positions, store manager Paul McNulty insisted, "We cannot dictate our hours, the customers do that." Despite Mr. McNulty and HR manager Kelly Mavridis being limited in how much advice they could give job seekers, beyond telling them to sign up to the Tesco Careers website for alerts, at least one went away from the event spurred on to seek work at the company. Trained environmental and civil engineer Cornelia Silagai, 35, said, "I know they have bought a lot of land in order to build more stores, and I think with my qualifications I could help with projects like that. Listening to the 2 managers speak today, I feel that Tesco could be a great company to work for. They seem to support their staff really well." Nick Johnson, Business Engagement Officer at Enterprise Enfield, chaired the clinic and told the Advertiser that the presentation was just the first step in a new strategy of getting major employers to provide targeted advice to job seekers. He said this was a way of giving the boroughs unemployed a unique way in to working with some of the nation's biggest companies. Today was the first step. It's fantastic that they could give us an insight like this, and in the future, with our series of career clinics, we will be building on this knowledge with targeted workshops to help job seekers secure work at these large employers, added Mr. Johnson.
A school governor has retired after joining a school more than 70 years ago. Brian Grayston, aged 76, first stepped foot inside Bush Hill Park Primary School in Main Avenue in September 1942. The former councillor and lead member for education at the local authority stayed on at the school as a pupil until 1953, but could not keep away for long and returned as a governor in 1970. Mr. Grayston told the Enfield Independent, "When I left as a 15-year-old, I really did not expect to come back. But once I got into politics and became a councillor, I couldn't help but come back here." moving in and out of politics up until 2002, when he last stood at a council election, the former Labour parliamentary candidate was also chairman of governors at the school from 2003 until 2012. When asked why he had decided to leave the school, Mr. Grayston said his health was one of the main reasons. He said, "I'm not as healthy as I used to be, and maybe it is time for others to take on the mantle. I will certainly miss being here because it is a fantastic school, and I have spent more years of my life here than not." A celebratory event to mark Mr. Grayston's reign also saw the current head teacher of the school, Sue Crisp, sign off after 14 years. Miss Crisp, who joined the school after it was placed in special measures and was made head teacher 6 years ago, has transformed the school, which was judged good by Ofsted in its latest inspection in November 2012. Miss Crisp said, "It has been a roller coaster ride at times, with some very tough times, some exhilarating ones, and some that have just been a hard slog. As part of the celebrations, a specialised cake in the form of the Perfect Lesson Ofsted book was created for the outgoing head teacher." Miss Crisp also paid tribute to the hard work of Mr. Grayston during her time at the school. She said, "He has been superb for this school and has done so much over the years. He was very supportive of me and was one of the reasons that I decided to take up the role as head teacher 6 years ago. I am leaving a great team behind who are going to take the school to the next level." When asked about what he would miss the most, Mr. Grayston said, "The kids are what I'll miss the most. They are so very polite and well behaved. They are what we are all here for."
Students and teachers in the floristry department at Capel Manor College in Balsmore Lane displayed their work at the Hampton Court Palace Flower Show. But following success in the Floristry College of the Year competition, the college was unable to make it through the second round, which could have seen them win a place at the Chelsea Flower Show. Titled "Move It, Move It," the entry was heavily praised by the college's head of floristry, Natalie Revet. She said, "The event is fantastic exposure to event floristry, so I'm really pleased that the team took part."
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening.